So now I'm going to take that little side detour that I told you about, and we're going to talk about rearranging formulas. So for this, you're going to need your rearranging formulas sheet, and this is the front, and then on the other side, you have some practice for this. I made this sheet up because I had a lot of students who were really struggling with this, and I wanted to write out the steps in order to try to make this a little bit easier for everybody to follow. So first of all, you want to take the equation that you have and you want to identify what you're solving for. So in this case, I'm giving an example of speed equals distance over time. And in this case, I highlighted distance because that's what I want to try to solve for. So I want to rearrange this equation in order to solve for that. So your second step would be to multiply or divide both sides by the same variable. Sometimes you might need to add and subtract depending on what the formula is, but whatever you do on one side, you need to do on the other in order to make certain that this statement stays an equivalent statement. So in this case, I wanted to get rid of the time that was in the denominator, so I multiplied both sides by t. And when I do that, I see that I have a t in the numerator and a t in the denominator, and they will cancel out because t divided by t is 1. So I've canceled my terms, and I've rewritten it. And so now I get v times t equals d. And then I can always just flip it and write it d equals v times t. And so then your last step is going to be repeating steps 2 and 3 as much as needed, because sometimes it takes a little bit longer to do the problem and rearrange it than just the one step that I just did. So I wrote over on the right side of this sheet is I wanted you to consider the similarities between the math, if you were doing this with math versus doing this with variables. And for most of us, we know that 12 is 4 times 3. And we just automatically recognize that 12 divided by 4 is 3. And we don't have to go through these same steps. However, when we were first learning how to do this, this is really what we did. So kind of compare here. I've got 12 equals 4 times 3. And another equation, F equals m times a, which we're going to get into in a little while. But this is force equals mass times acceleration, which we're not quite there yet. But it's the most common formula, and we're going to be using it for quite a while in like another chapter. So for here, I take the numerical version, and I divide both sides by 4 because I'm trying to get 3 by itself. And when I do that, the 4 in the numerator and the 4 in the denominator cancel, and I get 12 divided by 4 equals 3. When I look at the one that uses symbols instead, if I'm trying to isolate the a and get the a by itself, I divide both sides by m, and since my m's on the right-hand side cancel, the numerator and the denominator here, I get f over m equals a. So for this is you're going to want to practice this and just kind of recognize that you're kind of doing this and have been doing this on your own. So what I'd like you to do is take a moment and do the practice here. Use F equals ma and solve for a. And then use another formula, W equals mg, and solve for m. And pause the video, and in a moment, we'll come back with the answers. So hopefully you got A equals F over M, and since I did that above, that should work. And also, you should get M equals W over G. I also wrote down how you would rearrange it for the other variables over here. I didn't ask you to do that, but you're going to be doing this with a lot of practice. So on the back side of your paper, you have a number of rearranging formulas practice, and I have revised this sheet this year, so it ends up being in 2 columns. However, I did not revise my answer key. So you have 2 columns here. There isn't really a front and a back. So sorry about that. I just paused the video and revised what was written here. So my sheet looks a little different than yours because my 2 columns are on the front and back of my sheet of paper. So for you, I was trying to conserve on paper. So what I want you to do for practice is to redo these and work on all of them. And there are some places where you're going to have You have a square here. You have some addition, subtraction in places. And then I'm going to go over the answers in the next video. And after that, if you still have any questions, you're going to want to let me know. So practice this, do the best that you can, and I will see you in the next video.